Super Bowl week is underway, and we kick it off with Joe Burrow's parents. They join us later in the program. What's it like to be in the middle of all of this in their home state? And where does Joe Burrow get his fashion sense, mom or dad? We'll talk to them ahead. Also tonight, the Olympics, declining ratings, declining popularity. The one thing we can all rally around, our athletes. And many of them are now in tears over the living conditions in Beijing. We'll talk with an outspoken Olympian about that. Death of a Navy SEAL in training. The Navy SEALs, of course, among the best of the best who serve. They undergo some of the toughest training, as you're seeing here. They are also the ones, of course, who stormed Osama bin Laden's compound under the cover of darkness and ultimately killed him. Just one of the many dangerous operations they have carried out. So when we hear something like this, it is absolutely stunning. And the Navy is now investigating the death of Kyle Mullen, seen here, 24 years old, from Molanapa, New Jersey. My apologies, Manalapan. Mullen died after successfully completing Hell Week exercises over the weekend, according to the Navy. Another trainee was hospitalized. He is in serious condition, but is expected to be okay. Hell Week is just that, a series of tests and physical and mental challenges the rest of us could really only imagine. And we're joined now by Sean Ryan, Navy SEAL and host of the Sean Ryan Show. He's been through it. In fact, Sean, I read where you said Hell Week was the worst week of your life, and you've been in combat.
I have. Thank you for having me on.
So what's the toughest part of it?
Hell Week, the entire evolution is the toughest part. So basically, Hell Week is kind of your first major milestone when you're going through basic underwater demolition training or SEAL training. And what they're doing is they're basically trying to recreate some of the stress or the amount of stress that you might feel when you show up to your SEAL team and go to combat with your team. They're trying to recreate that to see, how you react, if you can keep calm under pressure, if you can still operate in a team environment. And with they're going to throw more mental stress, physical exhaustion, and create a lot of controversy within teams to kind of create that whole experience that lasts for an entire week.
Sleep deprivation as well, I know, is part of it. So out of every 10 who want to become a SEAL, only one makes it. And then actually, if you go a step farther, only 1 out of 5 who enter the training make it to this point where they become SEALs. Most of this is in the water, is it not, Sean? So to me, I'm curious, was there an exercise or a challenge or something that you were asked to do in this training where you maybe yourself wondered, I may not survive this?
They're actually really good. They have a great medical staff. As far as evolutions, there's a lot of different evolutions. You do spend probably at least 75% of your time in Hell Week in the water. Some of the stuff that you might encounter medical-wise is hypothermia. Cellulitis is a big one. You get a lot of chafing. Anywhere skin's kind of rubbing together is going to create an open wound because you're in the sand for 5.5 days straight, rubs your skin raw. And with some of that sewage and stuff coming up from Tijuana, a lot of guys start getting cellulitis, stuff like that. Pneumonia is another medical issue that you might face there. But they have, like I said, the medical staff is phenomenal in training. They're watching you every step of the way.
So it sounds like this happened, Sean, after training, not during. What do you think happened?
It's hard to say with the information that I've seen so far, but I would say it's probably, if with knowing what I know, I would think it would probably be some kind of a sickness, maybe pneumonia or something like that maybe he caught in Hell Week and then carried out in the week after.
This is just, I guess, goes to the mindset, Sean, and you know about it because you went through it, and the rest of us have only seen it in movies, but we're all so impressed and honored to have you guys do what you do. But I wonder about the mentality of it. Is this what they do so that when you come out of it on the other end, you literally have changed your mindset to where you think, I can survive anything?
Partially. When you're going through, though, they're looking for a very specific type of mindset and individual. And condolences to the family for this gentleman. I can't even imagine losing a son. I just had one of my own. But in that training, I mean, he had it. You know, whatever he was dealing with in training, he overcame it and actually completed the entire evolution, which is phenomenal because we don't know what he was dealing with all throughout Hell Week. And then, and unfortunately, you know, he passed after Hell Week. But it sounds like that's the exact mindset that they look for, you know, is somebody that's, if they're going to go through, no matter what you throw at them, they're going to overcome it in their head. And this gentleman did just that.
Yeah, it's great that you point that out. I should have off the top our condolences to the family. And Sean, our thanks to you. It is too bad that he didn't get a chance to see it through because he really, in all respects, had made it to the end and just didn't get to graduate. Sean, thanks for shining a light on this and helping us understand a little bit more about the impressive work the SEALs do. Appreciate it.
Hey, I really appreciate you having me. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Take care. Apparently not all fun and games at the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. Complaints from athletes and officials are pouring in now about the living conditions, dining options, COVID isolation rooms, not to mention the weather. Belgian skeleton racer Kim Malmans broke down in tears in a video she posted to Instagram explaining how scared and confused she was about all the COVID-19 protocols in Beijing. Joining us now, Bruce Kidd. He's an Olympian who competed for Canada in the 1964 Summer Olympics, now a professor emeritus of sports and public policy at the University of Toronto. Bruce, it's heartbreaking to see that video. I'm wondering if you're surprised to hear about the conditions in Beijing.
I was surprised. I understand that the terrible conditions being complained about are only experienced by those athletes in quarantine, but they're extremely harsh and they're extremely discouraging. And I'm glad that the Belgian athlete has brought this to light because they should be corrected as soon as possible.
Others are complaining about the food and other living conditions, Bruce. I mean, usually at the athletes' village, the food is the highlight, right? I mean, it's usually the buffet of all of the best foods. And you've worked so hard to get there. You want everything else to be in place. So all you have to worry about and focus on is competing.
You know, that is true. And I cannot understand why the host committee has not laid on the required variety and quality of food. That's something that's clearly specified by the IOC in both the bidding process and in the various site reviews. So this comes as a shock and surprise.
Athletics and social activism, Bruce, have always been connected for you as I researched you for our interview tonight. What do you make of today's athletes who were being advised to keep their mouths shut, basically being told the Olympics isn't the time or the place? Because that was a big part of your life.
Well, I think athletes should speak out as they want to do in the confines of Beijing. COVID has really complicated it, as we've heard, but the IOC has revised the governing rule to give athletes much more freedom to speak out, and those who are moved by conscience, who are upset at the genocide of the Uyghurs, of the ongoing occupation of Tibet, the suppression of democracy in Hong Kong, should be able to speak their views and be protected by the IOC. I'm surprised that Congressperson Pelosi, normally she's a progressive person.
Right.
Maybe she's not trying to rock the boat with the Chinese, but that was inappropriate. Athletes may choose not to embarrass their Chinese hosts, but if they choose to engage in these conversations,
right,
even hold media conferences, they should be protected.
Bruce, it seems like, well, viewership is definitely down. Interest seems to be down as well. Do you think the Olympics have lost their shine at all?
Well, I was just walking with my wife who said exactly the same thing, and I met her through the Winter Olympics in Calgary. There's something pretty ordinary about these games so far. There's, of course, the tremendous fear of COVID. which has chilled the entire population, and the tremendous concern about human rights in China.
Right.
But these are exciting events too, so it's a puzzle to me. The performances I've seen both on NBC and CBC have been breathtaking. So there's lots of great stuff to watch.
Olympic athlete Bruce Kidd, thanks for your insight. We appreciate the time. Take care.
Thank you, Joe.
Tonight, a new push for a no-fly list for unruly passengers who cause major disruptions on flights. One strike and you're out. Who would be against that? We'll ask our travel expert coming up. Plus, another controversy for Joe Rogan, why he's apologizing now, and how the CEO of Spotify is standing behind him. Don't forget, you can follow us on social media at Joe Donlon TV. Back after this. Unruly passengers. They're being booted from flights in record numbers. The FAA says 2021 was the worst year for passengers acting out on flights in U.S. history, with nearly 6,000 incidents last year alone. More than 4,000 of those incidents mask-related. A stunning and dramatic rise in the number of incidents from past years. You can take a look at the spike in this chart, again, from last year. The rapid rise now has Delta Airlines CEO Ed Bastian saying enough is enough. He's even asking the Attorney General to create an unruly passenger no-fly list that would bar that person from traveling on any commercial airline. Our travel contributor and expert Peter Greenberg joins us now. Peter, it's always good to see you. This seems to make sense. Am I missing something? Is it too harsh?
No, perhaps it's not. If you have to go back to last September, when Delta Airlines appealed to all the other airlines to get together and share their list of already banned passengers so they could create that very list. They didn't get any takers. And of course, as you just reported, over 6,000 cases of unruly, disruptive, or downright violent passengers. So now they're ratcheting it up to the next level, asking for a government-managed no-fly list. But let's go through this for a second.
Yeah.
They're asking for a government-managed no-fly list based on anyone who's been convicted of being unruly, disruptive, or violent. Of those 6,000 cases, how many have actually gone to trial? How many convictions have there been? Less than 24. So we're not really talking about a huge number yet, because in a situation like this, the FAA first has to propose a fine. The word there is propose, and then they have to refer it to the Justice Department. Does the Justice Department take action? Apparently not, and you only have 24 cases right now. So that number is still low. The original proposal for Delta to share those banned passenger lists might actually be more effective.
So what happens, Peter, if an airline says, look, you can't fly on our airline right now, I guess you could fly on another one. And in the past, the government has made it illegal to smoke on an airplane, and nobody smokes on airplanes anymore. Do you think this has to happen in order for this to change?
Well, two things have to happen. Number one, of those cases that were reported, an overwhelming number of them were alcohol related. Now, that doesn't mean the people who were drinking on the plane, they may have already gotten on the plane already drunk. So the other thing that has to be determined is airport retail sales of alcohol, and do you have a cutoff period at the terminal so that you do not serve passengers within, let's say, 45 to 60 minutes of their boarding time. So it's not really a matter of drinking on the plane. That can actually be controlled. It's drinking before the plane. And then, of course, you've got to figure out a way to stop somebody from being banned from one airline and clearly walking across the terminal and getting on another flight of another airline.
Most of these, too, though, you mentioned alcohol, Peter, it's also mask related. And I wonder if and when we get to that day where they stop the mandate to wear the masks on planes, if this improves. And I'm also wondering, I mean, you and I have talked about this, the amount of monetary fines. You would think that would be deterrent enough, but it hasn't been.
Well, it hasn't, because remember, the amount of those monetary fines are only the proposed fines. What has actually been paid? Not very much at all. To your point about the masks, that's another interesting story. The next mask mandate decision is going to be March 18th. They could make that decision before that date. We're seeing stories tonight of states like New Jersey and Connecticut reevaluating the mask mandates in places of indoor dining establishments and schools. So we may be on a path to have that eliminated, but it may also be extended, because that's based on the vaccination level of the people who are flying. Canada, you can't get on a plane in Canada without showing proof of vaccination. We're not at that point yet in the United States.
I keep trying to figure this out, Peter, looking at this video, but What is it about us all of a sudden that when we get on a plane, we act a fool? I mean, people are taking their shoes and socks off. Look, we're all in this together. No one wants to be diverted. No one wants to be delayed. We're just trying to get where we want to go. And yet, for some reason, this seems to be something that people have no problem with. They get on and act like they're the only one impacted here.
Remember, you have altitude, you have pressure, and you have alcohol. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. All right. So let's get you on something else that happened today, Peter, and that's the merger of Frontier and Spirit. And on the day they announced this merger, Frontier had their entire fleet grounded, at least part of the morning.
Right. What's interesting about this case is that if this merger goes through, this $6.6 billion merger, it would create the fifth largest airline in the United States. But more importantly to that, remember, the recovery in the travel industry, especially in the airline industry, has been led by low-cost, low-fare carriers, not by the three major carriers. And so these discount carriers now combining are going to put some pricing pressure on the legacy carriers like American, United, and Delta. We may see some fare wars here where the big carriers are going to have to lower their prices. They're low enough already to see what happens coming into the summer months.
These two airlines have had their share of issues. They are low-fare airlines, as you mentioned. Do you like the idea of them merging? Is this good news, good for travelers?
It may, in fact, be because of that pricing pressure. Remember, the CEO of Frontier, what was his last job? He was at Spirit. These guys know the other airlines very well. Right. And if you combine their route networks, they can be competitive on a lot of routes that right now are dominated by other carriers.
All right, Peter Greenberg, always great to have your voice as well. Fly safely. We'll see you soon.
You got it, Joe.
The undercover sting operation that brought down 13 child predators. The officers got them off the streets. That's tonight on Dan Abrams Live, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Joe Rogan seemed to skirt one controversy at Spotify as musicians started pulling their music from the platform. But in controversy number 2, Spotify has responded by pulling around 100 podcasts of the high-profile host. This after a video was published online showing clips of Rogan repeatedly using the N-word on his program. And here's how he responded on Instagram. So Spotify CEO sending a memo to employees saying, while I strongly condemn what Joe has said, I realize some will want more, and I want to make one point very clear. I do not believe silencing Joe is the answer. Joined now by our friends Mo Kelly, host of The Mo Kelly Show, and Tony Katz from WIBC in Indy. Mo, let's start with you. The last time we saw you guys, you both were standing behind Joe Rogan. What about this time? Anything changed for you?
No, nothing. Nothing changes at all. I believe that capitalism is going to find its equilibrium. If Joe Rogan can make money for Spotify, he will stay there. And I would say this apology was the grand bargain, where you had an initial controversy, and like you said, now it's evolved and changed. And so with new controversy, there's new considerations. And so Joe Rogan should not, in my estimation, have apologized. They knew what they were buying for $100 million, and they got exactly what they asked for. Now people are digging in the crates and digging up things. I don't think he should have apologized, but whatever Spotify chooses to do, I support.
Well, they've chosen to stand behind him, Tony. What does this latest debate come down to, in your opinion? Mo mentioned money, race, free speech. What is it for you?
Well, it depends on, I guess, which part of the equation you're in. The latest debate from those who hate Joe Rogan is that it didn't work when they tried to get him thrown off of Spotify for having an honest conversation about COVID. So now they went to this. And you even heard there in part of the clips that it's something he hasn't said in years. So now we have to ask ourselves, well, exactly how many years is it? And then you have to ask yourself, does that mean Joe Rogan figured out maybe that wasn't something that he should be a part of? And let's say that he did. Well, that's not even good enough for the people who want him destroyed. This is about destruction. Whatever you want to take about Spotify, keeping him, and certainly we can have the capitalism conversation. I'm down, I'm in.
It's being a little bit disingenuous. If you know anything about Joe Rogan and the fullness of his history, and I've listened to him for years, so I know this, he's had plenty of objectionable content around racial lines. He's had guests on where he opined about the supposed superiority of the cognitive abilities of the white mind versus the black athletic abilities and the black mind. So there are plenty of things which are racially objectionable, and Joe Rogan, I don't think, is being wholly honest. As far as the N-word is concerned, I think it's abhorrent. I think it's objectionable regardless of who uses it and why. And Joe Rogan is too smart to play dumb. He knows that that word is inflammatory regardless of using it in context or out of context. Don't insult my intelligence, Joe Rogan.
He's definitely been contrite Tony. He was the first time and promised to bring on a more balanced debate on the COVID issues, and now he's just flat out apologizing. We were wondering today in our production meeting why it is that some are suspended and others are fired. I've asked you before about where the line is and ultimately who decides, and the example that we came up with was that Nike has dropped a lot of athletes, but not Tiger Woods.
Well, you can talk about that with a lot of people. Let's go back to Whoopi Goldberg just a couple of weeks ago. If that, I think it was just a week ago. She really gets some radical thoughts about the Holocaust, gets a 2-week suspension. Gina Carano, who was working for Disney at the time, the same company, just put out 2 images and talked about how we have to treat each other better. But that was bringing up Nazi imagery, and therefore she was fired. It's not even a question of double standard. It's a question of, okay, how does this person fit into the box, and do we accept that person in this box or not? Is this person going to cost us too much money? Is this person dispensable, and can we destroy them for something that isn't worth destroying somebody for?
Yeah.
If we're now seeing the end of cancel culture, we're all better off.
Mo, New Jersey, Delaware, Connecticut, and now California are lifting mask mandates in schools.
Democrats need to understand that leadership is by example. And if they're going to talk the talk, they need to walk the walk, even if they don't believe it and it's insincere as far as their talk. And if you can't just give people the reason to not follow ordinances or state mandates. And so they're doing their own selves and their own rhetoric and their own politics a tremendous disservice.
All right, we're just hearing now that California is dropping its indoor mask mandate February 15th. So, yeah, there you go. Listen, we're breaking news here and informing people at the same time. It's always great to have you two, Mo Kelly of The Mo Kelly Show and Tony Katz of Eat, Drink, Smoke. Thanks to you both.
Always.
Video now, but we're going to show it again. Executing a warrant and shooting this man in his home as he slept on the couch and woke up. Here's a clip.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
TJ, it happens in a hurry, and I know you've been through a lot of this training. What do you see in that video with your trained eye?
Well, I have a lot of problems. And the fact that it's Minnesota again, you have to go back and even look at the statement that was put out from Minnesota again, where if you look at the statement from the George Floyd incident, and it was just a medical emergency, and it was totally different once you saw the camera footage. You look at what happened here and compare it to the statement. We call Mr. Locke a suspect in here. He's not a suspect. He's somebody who was sleeping in his own home who has the right to bear arms. The questions that I would have would be, what was done leading up to this? Was there something called pre-raid surveillance to know who's inside of the house? Was there anything done to potentially capture the suspect, or the target, I should say, outside of the house?
Right.
And if you're going to make entry into the home to try to get evidence like a weapon, then you make that entry. But you want to slow these things down and make them as least dynamic as possible. But it makes you wonder, has anything been learned? And this is similar to a Breonna Taylor situation in that this individual had the right to fire back, not knowing. And part of what I've also understood is that they're alleging that they were yelling police before they entered. We did not hear that on the body-worn camera as they were opening the door with a key.
Right.
That's a problem. And I've been on many search warrants and no-knock raids myself.
We should point out that Amira owned the gun legally as well. But TJ, I've been waiting to have you on because I want to ask you about this, and you've touched on a lot of it here. I just don't understand. A number of cities have stopped doing these no-knocks. I don't get it. I mean, it seems to me to be incredibly dangerous for everyone, including the police. I mean, you're rustling someone out of sleep in the middle of the night, yelling and screaming. They don't know what's happening. It seems like there could be, to your point, a better way to do this. Maybe surveil it, wait till they come out or something.
Absolutely. And I have to commend our state, the state of Maryland here, years ago, because of 2 dogs being shot. And dogs are family pets. They're like family. But 2 dogs were shot on a raid, and it changed how we did search warrants here in the state of Maryland, where we had to do risk analysis forms and submit those to our SWAT team, where they made the entry and they could downgrade a no-knock search warrant, even if it was given by a judge. And you had to have all of these different categories. And at the end of the day, if you could get the target outside of the house, that's what you did. and you did pre-raid surveillance to know who was in the house, know if there were children in the house. You want to limit the risk not only to yourself as officers, but to the individuals inside the house. And we have to realize this is one of the most invasive things you'll ever do to someone. And the element of surprise, of course, is to stagger someone, but you can also scare the wrong person who is right in their right to have a gun and fire upon someone. So this is going to be an interesting case to follow. And what people have to also realize, the SWAT team is one element to this. The people who made the decisions to say, go in this way are the other element to this, because it's a lot of moving parts. This
It's
case.
great to have your voice, as always. Retired Anne Arundel County, Maryland Police Commander T.J. Smith. Thanks, T.J. Good to see you.
Thanks, Joe.
Snap it! Yeah! We're going to the Super Bowl. It's going great.
How great is that? Up next, Joe Burrow's parents on what it's like to have so many people so happy with something their son did.
Snap it! Yeah! We're going to the Super Bowl. It's going great.
So that is the moment enthusiastic Bengals fans find out their beloved team is heading to the big game in Los Angeles, and it's due in no small part to this man. Quarterback Joe Burrow, in just his second year in the NFL after a season-ending knee injury last year, his rookie season, the former LSU standout came roaring back this season to help the team, once called the Bungles, win the AFC Championship and take them to their first Super Bowl in 33 years. Burrow could, in fact, become the first ever quarterback to win the Heisman Trophy, the national title, and a Super Bowl ring. Joining me now are two very proud parents of the NFL powerhouse, Jim and Robin Burrow. It's great to have you both. Thank you for the time. That video is so good. It's just goosebump stuff. I'm wondering what it's like to know that your son's not only in the middle of it, but a reason for all of this joy and excitement in your home state.
We never get tired of watching those videos. We've seen a lot of them, and to make people happy like we see, it's crazy. We're very proud of Joe, proud of the Bengals, and excited to go to LA later in the week.
Robin, I guess the Ohio governor has temporarily renamed 3 state parks after him now. Can you believe this?
That is true. We got that word today. Burrow Oak is the word for Joe. So that's right up the road here. So we're very excited about that.
All right. I'm wondering, because he seems like such a humble and quiet kid. Now, I'll call him a kid, even though he's wise beyond his years. But after a win, he seems to turn into someone else. He's jewelry, and as we can see in the poster over your shoulder there, Robin, he's smoking cigars. Does he get his fashion sense from you or Jim?
Definitely from me, not from me.
So you're not the one smoking the cigars, I hope, right?
No, I am not. That is true. I am not the cigar smoker.
He likes to have fun with it. He seems to feel comfortable in that, and I doubt if he would walk around Athens dressed like that here in Ohio, but he seems to like doing things before and after the game. So as long as he's having fun, we're good with it.
Yeah. Jim, you went down this path. You played with the Packers, and then you went to the CFL. When did you think Joe might actually have what it takes to play at the level he's at now?
Well, we thought he was a good athlete, certainly growing up, all different sports. 10th grade was when he really started being the quarterback at the high school, threw for a lot of yards, won a couple of playoff games. And we could see then at least that we thought he had a chance to be a Division I major college quarterback. But to say there was ever a time that we knew he could be a NFL quarterback, maybe even as far as 2019 when they beat Alabama and win the national championship. You kind of know that it's going to happen, but hard to say we knew it at any time during his high school career, for sure.
Well, so much has to happen, Robin, and I know you guys have sacrificed so much. I'm curious, now you have the Heisman, the national title, a possible Super Bowl. It's beyond a Cinderella story now, because I'm sure everyone thought this wasn't going to happen, and now so many things have happened. No one will be surprised, I think, if they win. I'm wondering, when he hurt his knee last year, how that worried you. Were you concerned that maybe his career might be over?
Well, certainly we did. We were very concerned about that, but we were very lucky. Joe has a very strong team around him, and his agent was able to connect with a great surgeon in LA, Dr. Elatrash, and his whole team of rehab people and physical therapists really helped Joe to come back from that injury quickly, faster than we expected. And then after several months, Joe moved back to Cincinnati, and the Bengals staff was just as wonderful. So we're very thankful for all the people around him that helped make that happen.
Yeah, every article I've read, Jim, talks about how you guys shaped him into the man he is. As a parent, I'm curious what you can share with us and how you guys did that and turned him into the person we see now.
Well, we both were raised by great parents, great homes, and we pretty much just took the things that we had learned from observing our parents and core values, respect, discipline, perseverance, things like that, hard work, and just kind of tried to concentrate on that and introduce him to those different kind of core values over the years. And he seemed to buy into them, and he is who he is today. And we think a big part of that is because just the way our families, raised us.
Yeah. We have a question from our boss, Sean from Cincinnati, who wants to know, when Joe's really hungry, does he prefer Montgomery Inn, Skyline Chili, or La Rosa's Pizza? Or I guess we should say anywhere else.
That's a good question. He doesn't actually eat out with us very much, but I would say probably Montgomery Inn out of all those things.
He likes his mom's cooking is his favorite still. So, but he likes all of those, and just doesn't go out a lot. It's just kind of tough to be out in public.
I was going to say he can't really do that anymore without getting swarmed everywhere he goes, right?
Yeah, that is true. When we're with him in Cincinnati, I'm definitely doing the cooking.
but he likes barbecue, and so that probably would lean to that. But he'll eat some pizza, he'll eat some chili here and there, and we'd like to go out with him more and try all these places in Cincinnati. But again, it's just limited. He basically ends up taking out something, calling in something.
Yeah, he's beyond rock star status. So what's ahead for you guys this week? When do you head out to LA? And I know the Rams are 4.5-point favorites. I don't think that probably has anything to do with how you feel about this game, because I think they've been the underdogs in every game except the Raiders in the playoffs, right?
That's true. We're heading out on Thursday, and we're excited to get there and start taking in the whole atmosphere of the Super Bowl. And we are, I think, underdogs at this point, but that's okay. We'll take what we can get, and we have confidence in Joe and his teammates and the coaches to have a great showing, and we're hoping and praying to bring home a victory to Ohio.
Well, a lot of people. Go ahead, Jim.
He likes being an underdog. He's always looking for something to put a chip on his shoulder. So I'm sure he knows exactly how many points they're underdogs, and he's going to use that as motivation. And the whole team has been underdogs really the whole year. They're going to be motivated to finally prove everybody wrong one last time.
Right. Well, we can't wait for the game on Sunday, and we appreciate so much you guys joining us tonight. Jim and Robin Burrow, appreciate the time. Good luck.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks for having us.
An amazing act of heroism caught on camera. A police officer acting as a crossing guard saves a student from a speeding car. Wait till you see the rest of this video. It's ahead. Time for our American Snapshot tonight. An heroic act and incredible reflexes caught on camera. It was a rainy day in Northeast Maryland when a middle school student was running into the crosswalk. The crossing guard, Corporal Annette Goodyear, held out her hand to stop traffic. That's when she noticed a car barreling toward the student. Goodyear pushed the young girl out of harm's way, essentially sacrificing herself. She was the one in the end who got hit by the car. Good news is Corporal Goodyear is just fine, and so is the student. You can see there checking on the corporal. Goodyear says her immediate instinct was to make sure the child was safe first, and she gets our American Snapshot tonight. That is our time. Thanks for joining us. On Balance is next. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.